So deep, now we're deep, JT.
What up, dudes? Before we begin this epic episode with the legend Tony Hawk, I just want to remind you guys that we are brought to you by Scentbird. Scentbird, guys, you want to smell good because smelling good means you feel good. And people around you are like, what is that dude wearing? And you can say, what up, dude? I got this from Scentbird. Scentbird, thank you so much. It's a luxury fragrance subscription service for colognes and perfumes and a great way for you to discover new scents without buying an entire bottle. For 50% off, whoa, that's half. That's huge. 50. 50% off your first month. Go to scentbird.com/deep and use my code DEEP. That's DEEP. Scentbird.com, SCENTBIRD.com. Smell good, feel good, all kinds of good. What up? Guys, we are also brought to you by, you guys know it and you love it because they're keeping your trim speed, guys. We are brought to you by Manscaped. Yes, guys, you want to keep your groinal area fresh. You want to keep those pubes trimmed, all right? Think of the lawns you see in the neighborhood. Which one catches your eye? The one that's trimmed with Manscaped lawnmowers. Yeah, I trim my lawn with Manscaped lawnmowers. Why? Because they have the best. And even when I'm trimming the lawn, either in the yard or around my dong, I know that I'm not susceptible to all these cuts and just all kinds of stuff that's going to make me bleed because Manscaped has our back. So guys, use code GODEEP at manscaped.com. You'll get 20% off. Whoa, 20% and free shipping. Shipping costs a lot and it's free. So use the code GODEEP at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping. Enjoy the episode.
What up, Stokers of Stoke Nation? This is JT Parr. I'm interrupting your regularly scheduled programming to give you a few notes on this episode. First one, we're interviewing Tony Hawk. It was awesome. He's super smart and he was on it. The second one is that the first 15 minutes of audio didn't record properly, so we tacked that on at the end of the interview because it just sounds shitty. But he actually talks about some really cool stuff in that section, like landing the 900 at the X Games and all of the work he put into Tony Hawk Pro Skater of the Game. So I would recommend listening to all of it. And yeah, enjoy the episode. It's up right now. Later, Stokers.
We were talking about Tony Hawk. I kind of wanted to learn more about your childhood and stuff and growing up in San Diego. I grew up in Orange County, so not far from here. Yeah.
I grew up in San Diego. My dad was in the Navy. He retired here. And kind of normal, I don't know, middle-class suburban life, public schools. I started skating mostly because my friends were doing it as a hobby, and my older brother was a surfer, and so he skated as well. And I got one of his hand-me-down boards, and that's how I started.
Were you good right away?
No, not at all. In fact, I remember the first time I got on the board, I pushed down the driveway and was yelling, how do I turn? How do I turn? How do I turn? And then I ran into the fence and got splinters in my hands.
Really?
Yeah. And I didn't think much of it. Like, I liked it. It was fun, but I ended up going to the skate park on the invite of a friend of mine for the first time, maybe about 6 months later. Mm-hmm. And that's when I knew that's what I wanted to do, because I saw these literally guys flying out of pools.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do that at any cost.
Was that like Z-Boys style kind of time period?
It was kind of at the tail end of that.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of misconception that somehow like I was part of that crew.
There's like a direct correlation.
I was 9 years old when those guys were superstars.
Yeah.
But definitely their influence was part of that whole movement with skating pools and with doing aerials. And that was it. I mean, once I saw people doing aerials out of swimming pools, that was like, I didn't...
Your eyes just went big and you were like,
I didn't want to play any other sports. I just wanted to do that.
Nice.
How long did it take for you to drop in on Vert?
It's weird to say in my era because we were skating pools that sort of varied in depth as they went up to the shallow end.
Yeah.
So I just worked my way up to the deep end.
Okay.
And so I don't remember thinking like, this is the moment I'm you know what I mean? It's not like this great separation of I can jump in on Meteor, I can jump in Vert. It was just more like I can jump in on the deep end now. And it wasn't. So it was a different time. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to say. If I had to guess what age I was probably 11 or 12 at the time.
Were half pipes around at that point, or is it just pools?
Not in the traditional sense. There were a couple. They were novelties.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pepsi had a demo ramp that they put on a float, and it was clear, and it was literally a half pipe. There was no flat bottom. There were no decks on it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what ramps were back in that time.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I'd say early 80s where people started building backyard ramps that were proper, that you could actually do tricks and do stuff maybe that wasn't possible in a pool.
Gotcha.
Would you skate to school?
Yeah, especially in elementary school. Yeah. There was in my high school, the first high school I went to, there was this drainage ditch that ran almost along the length of where I lived to the school. So on the way home, I could skate the drainage ditch all the way down.
Whoa.
The reservoir.
That's cool. And at that time, skating wasn't really like, people weren't doing it to be cool. It was sort of like for the love of the sport, would you say? Or was it
when I
of,
started, it was more like a fad. It was like
Yeah.
the yo-yo of the time.
Okay.
And so kids would skate and then they would grow out of it.
Yeah.
But if you kept skating, then you were just marked as basically a nerd, because it was like, why are you still skating?
Right. It's like
That's
doing
interesting.
karate when you're in high school. Everyone's like,
Yeah,
it's
it's like
normal
you
when you're
grow
like
up.
11.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And also just that it wasn't cool anymore. So
Yeah.
it was hard to get any sense of validation or accomplishment, especially at an age when you're just trying to fit in. But at the same time, I kind of found my crew at the park, and I enjoyed it too much to worry about what my classmates thought of it.
So those were your boys. What was like? What kind of person were you in high school?
I was a good student. Like, I was in the advanced classes.
Nice.
I would have been considered a nerd, but because I skated, it was like double whammy of like, you're a nerd and you're uncool because you skate.
Yeah.
So for the most part, I was just kind of a ghost through the hallways. Like, I didn't really want to draw any attention to myself because it was never a good thing.
What was it like, because you were pretty much professional by 15, right? Or 16?
Yeah, well, 14, but
14.
again, it was a different era. It just
Yeah.
meant that you moved up in competition classes. No one was offering you a contract.
Okay.
There was not some great celebration. It was just more like, okay, you can't cruise as an amateur anymore because you're winning all the events. So you
Yeah.
have to turn pro. And so the way I turned pro was checking the box that said pro in the entry form to the next event instead of
Right.
the one that said amateur.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That was the barrier. Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. And it was like, no one, there was one guy peering over my shoulder like, oh,
And
cool, you're pro.
what was it like when you travel to go to like a contest, win the contest, and then come back to high school? Like, did you gain notoriety within
Not
like
really.
the school?
A little bit because I was in Southern California, so there was some acceptance of it. It was like more of a surf culture. But for the most part, no. People didn't. Some people knew that a skateboarder went to their school, and maybe even some knew my name, but they could not pick me up at a crowd. No way.
Right. Were you beating pros like right away when you got on there?
When I first turned pro, I got fourth at the first event I went to.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
You're doing
I
well.
it didn't it wasn't always stellar, but I did pretty well. Yeah.
And was that the Bones Brigade?
I was on the Bones Brigade at that time. Yeah.
Nice. What's Stacy Peralta like? For the people who don't know, he directed Dogtown and the Z Boys and the Bones Brigade
Yeah.
documentary.
He's awesome. He was really the first person that recognized my skills and my ambition when most people thought I was kind of a joke, because I was really scrawny as a kid. And so when I was skating, I had a really strange style, but I had been creating all these different tricks and I was learning tricks. And he was one of the first persons to see me and say like, hey, just kind of inquire about what I was doing and about a possible sponsorship. And that was kind of a shock to my peers, because it was like, him? You're going to sponsor him?
Mhm.
Right.
And I was intimidated as well, because it was already like Steve Caballero, Mike McGill, Rodney Mullen. Like, those guys were on the team.
Yeah.
Rodney Mullen, interesting guy.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Yeah.
Yes. He's a genius physically and mentally.
I heard him at the beginning of Bones Brigade. He like describes himself as a child. He's like, I didn't know I was allowed to speak. I talked in whispers.
Yeah.
Until I was like
yeah.
20.
Well, he had a pretty rough childhood.
Yeah, I don't
too,
mean to make
so-
light of it, but it's like
Yeah.
his intensity. He was almost like a poet the way he was talking.
Yeah. No, he really is like on a different level of intelligence.
What was it like when you guys were just kicking it like on tour together with all those guys?
I think he and I connected the most because we were both pretty nerdy in that sense, like in terms of schooling and interests, but also he and I were creating tricks, and we didn't really have any other peers to bounce stuff off of because we were just sort of doing these things, and no one, either they couldn't or they didn't care to try the things we were trying. And so he and I would bounce ideas off each other, even though he was doing stuff on the flat, which is freestyle, and I was doing stuff in the pools in the air. We both had different ideas of what's possible in those realms, and so he and I would sort of share inspiration.
Well, that's cool.
So, for instance, I created the airwalk move, which is taking both feet off of your board in the air. He figured out how to do that on the ground, to ollie up, grab his nose, and kick both his feet out.
Wow.
And that was because I learned that in the pools. And then he used to do a trick where he would flip his board with his fingers. This is before kickflips were invented. And so you'd have to do it with your hand. And so I figured out how to do that in the air in the pool.
It's a
That was
finger
directly
flip?
from Rodney.
That's the finger flip?
Finger flip, yeah.
Wow.
So you guys were like creating a skating language together, basically.
Kind of, yeah, but really, we didn't know to what audience. We just loved doing it. You know, it was very it was very little appreciation at the time.
Well, yeah, because then it was pretty popular for a while. Then it plummeted for a bit, right?
Right,
Before the
but that's
X Games
I think
came
that's
back.
the thing that the isolating part of that was that skateboarding was this got really small. The community was very small, and then for someone like me, I was an outcast of that community because of the way I skated. So it was very isolating.
Well,
you know?
what made you an outcast?
Because I wasn't doing the cool, like I wasn't doing the big aerials and the big slash grinds like the surfer dudes. I was just doing these tricks, and they just thought I was a robot. And so they used to call me that. They used to call me circus skater and just like a robot. And so
were you able to detach from that stuff? I mean, throughout your career, when like you go through these,
it was more that I had a couple friends that had the same sort of vibe, and I just relied on them for
awesome.
validation and for support, because the world of skating was kind of older at the time too. So it was super intimidating, and if you weren't cool, you're just out.
So in the 90s, it sort of went through a little bit of a lull. What was sort of your mindset going through that point of how to overcome that, or were you just going to stick with skating no matter what?
Well, I always knew I wanted to keep skating. I didn't know if it was possible to do it for a living, especially in the early 90s. I did whatever I could to make it work. I mean, I was taking the most odd jobs as a skater. Like one time I was a consultant for a commercial where they had skaters, but they were younger than me. Another time I did demos in Six Flags parking lots on a vert ramp, 3 a day for $100. But it made, like, I paid the bills.
Yeah.
And it made it work, and it allowed me to keep skating.
Yeah.
And I kind of navigated that as best I could, went on a severe budget for my lifestyle.
Yeah. It was like Taco Bell, like $5
Absolutely.
Taco Bell.
and Top Ramen, like every day.
What were your parents and like GF saying at the time?
My parents were supportive. I mean, it was hard for them to see my income shrinking so drastically, because my income was basically being cut in half every month because it was all royalty based. So people weren't buying as many shoes. People weren't buying as many skateboards. The truck company couldn't afford the salary they were giving you. And then, I just watched my income dwindle. So they were concerned just because at that point in my life, I had 2 mortgages. I had a son on the way, and it was like, what the hell are you guys doing? What are you doing? Like, you're going to find a job. And I did actually at that time borrow money from my parents to buy editing equipment, because I knew how to do video editing. And this is all before computers, so everything was like tape to tape. And I knew enough about that to get freelance work doing that. So I actually did that for almost a year on top of skating. And I was putting videos together for different companies. including skate companies and one video game company, ironically. And eventually I took the equity out of my house and started a skateboard company because I thought that was my transition from being a pro skater to someone behind the scenes, and it allowed me to stay in the skate industry. And I had a good eye for talent, so I could put together a really good team.
Did you get that from Stacy, or did you kind of always?
Yeah,
have that
absolutely.
kinda-
I mean, he was the catalyst because that's what he did. He was a pro skater. He teamed up with George Powell, started Powell Peralta, found his own team, and then did it. So I was just going through the same cycle. But the hard thing is that skating was so small, so it was very risky to start a skate company at the time. But I saw that skating had come through so many cycles of popularity before that it was sort of due for an upswing, and I wanted to be in the right place at the right time.
Did you take the time to learn about business, or did you just partner up with someone who sort of had that
I had
expertise?
a friend who also put in his money. He was an ex-pro skater, but he had a business degree.
Yeah.
So I trusted him to do most of that, like the paperwork and the business plan and things like that. But I definitely dove in and learned a lot of it because I felt like I should. I couldn't just be clueless to all that stuff.
Yeah, you're like a super smart dude.
It was not something I was really interested in, though. You know what I mean? I didn't.
But you know how to edit. You're like
purchase
you're
orders,
in AP classes and
net
stuff.
sales, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there were 3 of us originally, for Birdhouse. So we were all doing everything. I did all the ads. I did all the videos. I was doing all the tours. I was lining up every single thing, graphics. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Who do you think is the smartest person who ever lived?
How I have no idea. How could anyone answer that?
It's tough, but I'm always curious what people think.
Well, I mean,
or how they answer, I guess.
I
is
feel
what
like the
intrigues
default
me.
is Einstein, right? Because
Beast mode, yeah.
he showed us the theory of relativity and
Studied what we couldn't see.
What's
Yeah.
that?
He like showed us what we couldn't see.
yeah, that kind of stuff. Or Stephen Hawking, who kind of explained time and space.
Right.
Mhm.
I think the thing I gleaned from Stephen Hawking is that the fourth dimension is time, and I think I never really understood that until I read his book and he made it clear.
Oh, that's interesting.
Time is crazy. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
very easy thing to say, but I mean, like, I think it's the most precious thing, and then also the way that we just have to move through it. We're just all fixed. You know what I mean? We don't have much choice.
Yeah, you kind of get stuck in a rut too.
How do you mean?
I don't know. You get into a routine, and then all of a sudden, time is gone because it's like, oh, I did the same exact thing over and over and over and over until
Yeah.
Right.
I got old.
But your life,
Interesting.
but your life is so diverse too, and your experiences.
It is,
right?
yeah. I definitely I like to break out of my comfort zone, and that's something I learned probably through the more difficult years where I just like I have to embrace all these different things because I don't know what is going to work. I don't know what is the future for me, and I can't just stay in my mode of I skate and I learn tricks and I get videos and I make products. Like I had to really figure out that you've got to expand your possibilities and you've got to embrace new challenges.
Did you party?
Not extensively. I definitely went through, we were young and skating was popular and we were, whatever, for lack of a better word, superstars in that area and in that world. And we were in our late teens. So it was like, yeah, it's a party, but I saw enough of my friends party so much that it affected their abilities. And that stuck with me. I was like, I can't, I have to skate. I know what got me here. I know why I'm here. Skating is the priority for sure.
Did you ever like wrestle with the temptation? Like, was it hard to resist, or you kind of had that?
Sometimes
Clear
it was hard.
mindset.
It honestly got harder into my older years because that's when things really skyrocketed in terms of popularity, and some of my injuries were a lot more severe. And so, painkillers and all that stuff, like that stuff is just seeps into your. It becomes addictive so
Right,
quickly.
grips you, yeah.
Even though you don't have any intention of ever, it's not like, oh, I want those pills because it's making me feel good. It's more like, I need those pills for this pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly you're like, I don't need the pills for the pain. I just need them.
Right.
And that's when it starts to get hazy. And that's when you don't realize that suddenly you're part of the opioid problem.
Yeah.
And definitely I went through a small phase of that where I had to make a very distinct realization that like I don't need these. I'm just doing these because it's making me numb to everything else.
And you're running a huge enterprise at the same time too, so it's like
Yeah, I mean,
you're kind of doing great.
It's totally self-defeating. It's absolutely, it's because you don't want to deal with things that are uncomfortable. Like that's the bottom line. You don't want to come out of you don't want to deal with reality, and so you just end up sort of being numb to the world through those alternatives.
Do you view skating as sort of a drug? Like it's sort of that the adrenaline rush and stuff, that's sort of your drug in life?
Yeah, I think that once I figured out that I could be creative in skating and be innovative, that became the buzz that I would always go after. And definitely you have to have something to replace that at some point in your life because it's not going to last forever. And that was probably the struggle that I had in terms of when my pro career, sort of apexed, and it was like, well, what is next, and what is going to give me that fulfillment? And I had to really figure that out, and that's definitely my family, and that's what I've come to hold as the most important thing in my life, and is what the very first thought I have when making decisions of things to do.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4 of my own kids, and then I have 2 stepkids, but 3 are now in college. So we did that. That worked.
Good job. Yeah.
Success. And then one is my oldest son, Riley, is actually like, he is a musician. He's a pro skater. He owns a coffee shop. He's in New York modeling for Rag & Bone right now. Like,
nice.
He's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the 3 of the boys are in college. One more is going to graduate in a couple years of high school. And then my daughter is, she's the only girl. She's 11.
Do they think you're cool?
That's a good question. I feel like
You have so much evidence you could show them.
yeah, but also I definitely am the one to, have to put the rules out there.
Right.
And the one to answer to if something is troubling them.
You're the taskmaster of the...
Yeah, I think that when I'm there and when we get to do stuff, it's cool. I think that my schedule and the time away from them gets hard for all of us. And so that would be probably the time when they think I'm not so cool.
Right.
I'm not frivolous with my time or with what I choose to do. Like I used to, I used to be in a worse shape where I'm like, movie premiere, sure, let's go. Oh, trip to Italy for your charity event. Of course, I'm going to go do that. And now I realize that stuff is not important. The importance is to really be present for your kids. And so they know that if I'm gone now, it is something that is
high priority.
High priority. Yeah.
Were you worried about your son pursuing a career in skating? Because I feel like in Hollywood, like some actors are worried about their kids, like going the same route.
I wasn't, only because he was so advanced when he was young.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any sort of nepotism. It was like, Riley can do these giant crazy tricks at age 11.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because...
Yeah, it's not like a job where you can
I
hide.
gave
Like,
him
it's
an
kind of
advantage or
obvious if
anything.
you can
Yeah,
do it or
like
not.
people are snowed by his name.
Yeah.
And if anything, he had to prove himself even further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they thought he did have some sort of favoritism. And so what worried me more was that I did see him start to shy away from skating around age 12, 13, because he did feel those pressures and he felt that attention and he didn't like it. And so he kind of pulled away from skating. But he kind of found it again because a lot of his close friends had been skating all those years, and they found their own little crew and their own style of skating. They called themselves the Shep Dogs and started making their own videos. And suddenly he was his own skater in terms of his style and his terrain. So he's not skating half pipes. He's not doing McTwists and stuff like that. He was just doing street stuff. And so in that way, he forged his own path, and people recognized it. And eventually he got a whole set of sponsors that had nothing to do with me. And that, if anything, that shows that he has the acceptance and the validation.
So it's sort of a core thing for you is that you should do things that you love to do, or sort of find your own, like it seems like with skating or with anything you do, it's sort of you're when you're in this mode of like creation or doing the things that you really want to do, that's when you found the most success. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's just more that I felt happiest when I was doing what I loved, even if it was for no money.
Yeah.
And so in those more difficult years financially, I don't think of those as strife or struggle. Like for me, I was still getting to do what I loved for a living. I didn't get to stay in the nicest places. I didn't get to buy the fancy cars, but I went to work happy. And so I think that's probably the message that I try to leave with people is that if you really are doing what you love, you're going to just enjoy working.
Yeah.
And that's far more important than going to a job you hate just to make a bunch of money.
Do you ever think what would have happened though if like the X Games didn't happen or something like that? Like if I guess you kind of trusted that skating would come back because you had seen the, like you mentioned, the rise.
Yeah,
and fall
I don't
of
really.
it.
I mean, there was definitely a perfect storm of different influences and opportunities around the time when the X Games started that all helped to raise the profile of skating. So,
right, but it wasn't necessarily just the X Games. It was like
no, I mean that definitely
confluence of
helped.
stuff.
That helped put it on the map. I think our video game came in just as X Games was coming in, and then that was sort of the tipping point where skating went into a popularity that we had never seen. But yeah, but also with or without X Games, I always felt like skating spoke to a younger generation where it's exciting, it's daredevil, it's individual pursuit, it's artistic, it's creative. And I always wonder, like, why doesn't the general public see that? Especially when I was young and when skating was so chastised. And I was like, why don't they see that this is super cool? And we don't have to follow any rules. And you can do stuff that's crazy looking and self-fulfilling. But it was all ball sports. It was all baseball, basketball, soccer, football. Like that was it.
Dude, it's live in West Hollywood. Like, there's just kids skating everywhere, just skater kids.
It's just part
everywhere.
of it. It's just part.
I kind of don't like them. I'm like an old man now. I'm like, get off my block, dude. But
yeah, well, I think some are a little more gregarious with where they skate and what danger they put pedestrians in. So I agree with you there. But
they just give me a vibe like you're not one of us.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm
I think
projecting
that's the strange shift now is that the skaters are the cool kids at school,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that just was not. And it's hard. It's so hard.
They've
for
all
me to
got
tell
great
people,
hair.
kids today, where I'm like, you don't understand. I had to hide my skateboard at school. It was the furthest thing from cool. Like I used to get picked up by jocks and swung around while I was walking to class.
So when you see skater kids now, do you just go, "You're welcome"?
No.
You see a skater kid with like a hot girl.
No, if
you're
anything, it gives me more perspective. Like, don't
take
think
it
you're
for
too
granted.
cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Because everything could turn again.
Right. It could be rollerblades.
Yeah,
Tomorrow,
treat
dude.
everyone with respect. That's all I
Yeah.
gotta say.
That's what pulled me towards action sports. Kind of was like, oh, I can be cool a little bit.
Yeah,
you
me
know?
too. I
Yeah.
sucked, but I was into dirt biking, and it was like I'd watch those videos, and like in between them, like doing like backflips was them like partying with girls, and like a lot of those videos are about the lifestyle, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, and watching the X Games.
Daredevil lifestyle.
There's something I always love that's so random, but the Mountain Dew helmet. I forget who had it, but I was like, I want that helmet so bad.
Oh, yeah.
but
Some of the
there's
Mountain Dew riders, they all wear that, yeah.
Yeah, it's something about the style and just like, I just love Mountain Dew.
Wait,
so.
ask him about Jake Brown.
Oh, yeah. So one of the most memorable moments for us is the Jake Brown fall, and you were commentating on that,
Yeah.
So what was your sort of going on in your head when you first saw it? Like, did you think he was a goner, or like, and how did you want to handle that?
Well, no, I can't say I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
No, I knew it was bad, and I didn't know if he'd wake up.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Right. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh either.
And we had never. I mean, it was heavy. Like
Yeah.
but it was a weird time because I had just started doing commentary around that time.
Yeah.
We were not prepped, or did anyone tell us what happens if there's a heavy injury?
Yeah.
There is protocol that comes with that, with being an announcer, that you're supposed to follow.
Yeah.
And we had no training in that.
Yeah.
And so I got a lot of heat because he was laying there, and I said something like, I can't believe you made that 720. And that was true. Like he had never made that trick before, the trick they did across the gap.
Yeah.
He had never done it before. So he made it, and because he was trying to recover on the way up the ramp is what sent
launched him out.
flying out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I got a lot of heat after that. Like, why would you say that? I was like, I'm trying to fill dead air
Yeah.
while you're seeing this lifeless dude on the ground. Like, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah, and you're trying to be nice to him. You're giving him like credit for his accomplishment.
Yeah. So it was just a weird, like, I that still kind of haunts me that people think that somehow I was being callous
really?
about it.
No,
And I was
not
like-
at all.
Yeah.
I was
It
like,
felt
I
like-
didn't know what to say. Like, it was frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like you
and
didn't
we're
know what to say.
live.
Yeah.
And and no one is in our ear saying,
Yeah.
what do we do? And so it was like, and then he got up, which was also insane because any modern medical expert will say,
Stay
do not
down.
get someone up,
Yeah.
That's a great
They
part about
just
the culture of the sport.
destroyed their
Yeah.
body. Yeah, but
Yeah.
everything was the Wild West. I mean, that was it. Like with
Yeah.
the skating, there were no rules. We didn't have paramedics ever
Yeah.
for any event. So the paramedics that were there were not the most highly trained, more like skater friends.
Yeah.
That had a degree that were like, yeah,
Sal
cool, I'll take care of
Masakela's
it.
like, they're the best medical staff in the business. And I was a little skeptical. I was like, are they the best?
yeah,
I mean, I'm
but
just-
but
yeah.
also, but there's something to be said for Jake Brown he's so stubborn and determined. He may not have let anyone
Right.
Yeah.
keep him down.
Dude,
Like
I
that's
would've-
very likely. So I can't blame them, but it was just such a heavy moment, and then for him to walk away was absurd.
Yeah. Because I always wondered about that. You know, you're like doing commentary and you're on the mic, and then you're like, what do I?
I would have panicked,
Because-
dude. I would have been
yeah.
like, I hope he's not dead. Like, I got a problem with like,
I would have been like,
yeah, I always say the worst thing I'm thinking. So I'd be like, please don't be hurt or
Yeah.
dead, Jake. Yeah.
I think the worst is that we cut to a commercial. And we came back and he was still laying there. That was the hardest part.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And it was like, oh, we're back. Cool. Thanks for putting us back on the air.
My parents were talking about that. They like told me about it. They're like, "Do you hear about the Jake?" Like, so that's how widespread the whole.
Yeah.
Like,
It
it was like-
definitely- and you know what though?
It had a big impact.
I think there was an important
No pun intended.
shift in mentality at that point because those guys have been toying with that Mega Ramp stuff for a long time. Well, for a few years up to that point. And they kept making them bigger. And They kept
Right.
making them fast, like going higher and higher. And that was sort of the line of demarcation where it was like, this is too much. This is too big. It's too dangerous. The risk factor is too high. And from that point on, they focus more on tricks at a manageable height. And the height is still huge. I mean, we're talking about like 15, 20 feet in the air. But they weren't going for the records anymore.
Right.
And I think that was important. Like, it had to happen.
Totally. Yeah.
And luckily, it was Jake that survived
Yeah.
that incident.
Yeah, I remember like the crash reel about Kevin Pierce, the snowboarder, and like the same thing. Half pipes keep getting bigger in snowboarding. You
Yeah.
know how high they go sells more viewers or whatever. But it's just like at some point, you got to be responsible to the riders, right? You got to interfere and be
but,
like,
but obviously there are different mindsets and people are going to go off and do their own thing and try to go higher and bigger and whatnot.
Right.
But I do feel like that moment was, especially the pioneers of that movement who were Bob Burnquist and Danny Way. They were both like, all right, let's just try to do tricks.
right. They got scared by what they created, like a Noble or something.
Well,
like
it was
that.
just kind of like, all right, that's the ceiling of height. That's all we need to go
Right.
at this point.
We've reached the human limit.
We reached the limit, and then they started doing tricks that had never been done because they realized like we still have 10 to 15 feet of air to do all these tricks that we've never had before. So that around that time, like Bob did a fakey 900. No one had ever done that. Someone did a 1080.
Where do you get inspiration from, like outside of skating? Like, do you ever get it? Like, you see a movie or you listen to a song or like reading or like just life experiences?
I don't know. I'd say most of my like skate trick ideas come at moments of calm, like if I'm just falling asleep or I have a moment of silence in my house somehow, and I think like I think about skating or I think about something I've been trying, and I was like, oh, what if this, twist this or do that. It's usually just sort of my own private moments when or if I'm skating and something goes awry, like my board flips the wrong way, and then it's like, oh, what if I would have caught it and brought it back? Like sometimes they're just happy accidents.
Are you constantly thinking about skating? Like, are you unable to turn it off? Because like for comedy with us, where it's like the mindset.
Yeah, it does consume me.
Yeah, that you always have.
Yeah, and it's weird now because, like I said, I'm older and I know I'm not gonna go break any records or anything, but definitely there are things that I think about where I go, okay, next time I go skate, I'm gonna go work on that.
Yeah.
Who's your greatest rival?
I think, well, competitively through the years, there have been different sort of, they're not even rivalries because we all skate together. And like I said, it's all this individual pursuit anyway. But through the heavy competitive years, for sure, I was pitted against Christian Osoy in the 80s because Christian represented style and big airs, and I represented tricks. And so it was like people had to choose their camp. And it was usually us first and second through like 84-ish to 88.
And what was your guys' relationship like?
We were fine. I mean, we enjoy. I respect his skating immensely. Like I wanted my backseaters to look like his.
Right.
But definitely people had to choose, and then this started to be like this thing where he represented certain types of. Like certain products, or he represented NorCal and I represented Southern California.
It's a NorCal SoCal thing. I remember that.
Yeah, and
yeah.
He was from LA, but because his sponsors were more Northern California.
Santa Cruz.
They were like, yeah. Well, he was indie. He was indie.
Indie. Okay.
And yeah. So anyway, that happened, and then through the X Games years, it was more like me and Danny Way or me and Andy McDonald because we were usually on the top from the Vert standings.
McDonald always wore yellow. Was that his thing? Yeah, I remember that.
Still.
Yeah. Oh, he still rocks yellow all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like a Steve Jobs specificity to his wardrobe. Yeah. That's what's up.
Do you ever have moments where you sort of psych yourself? Because skating is such an incredible thing and it's so advanced. Do you ever like psych yourself out where you're like, wait a second, how do I do this again? You know what I mean? Because like with comedy, I'll be like, oh, I'm supposed to make these people laugh. How the fuck?
Yeah, we're both dealing with that. Like when we have shows, like we had a show in San Francisco on Saturday, and like a ton of people showed up to see us, and me and Chad were just like, are we sure they came to see us? Like, are we gonna do this?
How do we make them laugh again?
Like, I'm dumb, dude.
I think my experiences with that have been when I set out to do something new. That there's like a new type of ramp, and I commissioned to have some ramp built. Like for instance, the first time I ever did a full loop ramp, no one had actually done it, and so I had one built. And the funny thing is, it was at a time when skating was kind of in a lull, so I had to pay for the building of it, even though Airwalk, my sponsors, said they were going to pay for it. And driving up to it and seeing this monstrosity of a loop, like a Hot Wheels track that's 14 feet tall, and thinking, it's on me.
Yeah.
No one is coming to help. No one else is like, it's not some team effort.
Right.
It's like, how are you going to figure that out? And then everyone's staring at me when I drive up like, I don't know. Good luck with that.
You're like, I wasn't serious.
I have those moments all the time, like where if I'm like the most mature man on like a bus or something like that, I'll be like, oh, if something goes wrong on the bus, it kind of, I'm looking around, I'm like, I'm always like worried about crisis. I'm like, who can I turn to like help? And then I look around, I'm like, I guess it's me, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when it's in a case like that, it's like no one else even wants to try it. And so I have to overcome all these doubts and even the fear of seeing it and just think like, I decided this is possible. I have to figure it out and it's going to be hard. And it was. I mean, I got rocked a couple times doing the loop, but I figured it out.
How long did it take you to first attempt it? Like, did you just go for it or did you sort of think about it for a while?
I went for it. I put some, luckily we were near a YMCA and they had gymnastics mats.
Okay.
So we just sort of stacked gymnastics mats in it. And I ended up just sort of crashing into the wall as it went over vert and then falling into the mats. Mm-hmm. So the hardest thing about the loop, it's not that it's particularly hard. You have to change your mindset into it not being a trick because it's just a carve.
Okay.
In the simplest terms. And so you can't change your body positioning. You can't pump the way that you pump a half pipe because that sort of your pump is over after 1/4 of a radius. Mm-hmm. So you have to figure out how to sort of hold the pump all the way through until you reach the ground again. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But it's very subtle and it's almost impossible to change your thinking in those terms if you've only ever ridden half pipes.
Does the notion of being first motivate you? Like you're like with the 900 or with the loop, the fact that you're kind of in like uncharted territory?
It's more about being unique. I think that yeah, I wanted to do it. Sure, I would have loved to, but it was more like no one was thinking about doing that. So it wasn't like some race to figure this out.
Right.
It was more like, oh, that's something different. I think I can do it. Let's have that built.
Right.
It wasn't like a bunch of people were like, we got to do the loop. Go build a loop. I'm doing it first. You know, it wasn't like that at all.
Right.
With the 900, it was a little different because there were a handful of us that were trying it through the years. And yeah, any of us wanted to be first. But for the most part, we had all been trying it for so long. It was like we just wanted someone to finally do it because it was like it was eating us up. You know, we the first time I ever tried it was in 1986, and I just landed on my back. And then Danny Way was in a video called "Risk It," and he actually put it on the wall in 1989. He didn't make it, and they cut the video like right when he put it on the wall. But that showed it, like that was a breakthrough for us because that showed us that it's possible. And then a handful of us were trying it through those years, like mid 90s. Yeah, basically mid 90s. And whatever, there's a lot of folklore and false narratives about how I came to do it, but we were all trying it together. They had many best trick events leading up to the X Games. You know what I mean? Like there's this whole story that was like, I was spying on someone to figure out how to do it. And it was like, dude, we all were trying it at every best trick event. Like there was no secrets.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you ever beef with rollerbladers? Like at the skate park? I tried rollerblading for a year because I was inspired by Brink. I really related to the front guy. And the skaters, every time I would try and rollerblade, they would just they'd be like, you better not drop in on this ramp. Like, this is a skate.
Yeah, I didn't fall into that just because I came from an era of being ridiculed just for skating.
Yeah.
And honestly, in those years of rollerblading's, height,
mm-hmm.
that allowed more skate parks to exist.
Yeah.
Because skateboarding was kind of dying. It was in a very lull in popularity. And because rollerblading came in, skate parks stayed open and built ramps. And so that benefited us. It benefited me.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever gets you active, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. It didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't. But like I said, I came from a different generation. And I was doing demos with, I was the special guest at rollerblade demos. Okay. So it was like Team Rollerblade and Tony Hawk.
Yeah. That's cool.
Did you ever think how well your name suits what you're doing?
Oh, yeah.
It didn't feel like that when I was in high school and they called me Boney Cock. So not really.
Man, kids are vicious. They can come up with a nickname for anybody very quickly. Yeah.
And then you have the Tony Hawk Foundation. How many skate parks have you built around?
Yeah.
Is it international now, or is it just within the U.S.?
We have an international outreach program, but mostly in the U.S. We've been going for 17 years now and helped to fund, I think, over 800 parks at this point.
That's awesome.
And those are mostly in the U.S. We do have an international outreach program with Skatistan, and so we help to fund their projects in South Africa, Cambodia, and Afghanistan.
Whoa.
And one in Jordan coming up too.
Wow.
They're building one in Jordan. So, we trust their model and their projects. And if anyone wants to do stuff internationally with us, we will give them advice and resources, but we don't give funding because we'd have to be established in those countries.
Gotcha. Okay. Guys, I'm going to interrupt this podcast to remind you that we are brought to you by Scentbird, our dogs at Scentbird. Guys, have you ever had someone come up to you and say, wow, you smell amazing. What cologne are you wearing? I know I have, because now I'm using Scentbird. And whatever scent you may be wearing, you have good taste and you know what you like. But your great taste is also expensive, and you end up with a shelf full of half-used bottles. I can't tell you how many Abercrombie Fierce bottles I have just laying around. It's messed up, but not anymore, because with Scentbird, I found a great way to have great taste without breaking the bank, whether it's Versace, Gucci, or Dolce & Gabbana. Scentbird.com keeps me smelling good month after month. And I love the Eau de Toilette. That's my favorite one, guys. Check it out.
Fun to say.
Eau de Toilette.
Eau de Toilette.
Eau de Toilette. What does toilette mean in French? Does it mean toilet?
No, I think it means to a toil. Sexily.
Legit.
Just kind of just hang around in a enticing way.
Yeah. Guys, Scentbird has more than 450 designer brands for you to choose a cologne or perfume from each month. I'm talking Gucci, Tom Ford, Kenneth Cole, Burberry, Prada, and more. You'll get a 30-day supply. That's 120 sprays, enough to apply more than 4 times daily for a month. And with an exclusive offer just for our listeners, you can get 50% off your first month today. That's only $7.50 for your first fragrance. Go to scentbird.com/deep and use my code DEEP for 50% off your first month. Again, that's SCENT bird.com/deep for you to try your first cologne or perfume for $7.50. Sign on and smell amazing. Guys, we're also brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped, what up? JT, have you been manscaping?
I haven't, but I've been looking at your section, and it's freaking nice, dude.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I showed him my I did a run through with the lawnmower 2.0. Showed JT, and yeah, maybe weird to show your buddy your pubes, but you know what? He was impressed.
Yeah, because I got to see the before and after, and it was like already solid, but then it was like spectacular.
Dude, so solid. So solid. And guys, I mean, this takes away the fear of like cutting your nuts. You know, you're going to keep your trims pubed, and you're going to really just have a safe, fun time manscaping your ball region, which is legit, okay? We got the perfect package 2.0 kit that features the lawnmower 2.0 skin-safe technology, 100% waterproof. Don't use the same trim on your face that you use on your balls because you're going to get ball sweat on your face. And I don't think that's proven yet to be anti-aging. So get 20% off, free shipping, and a free travel bag with code DEEP at manscaped.com.
What up, Lords of Stoketown? This is for JT specifically. I got a dilemma in my hands, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to stop watching porn so that the only things I do with my dong are dropping it, draining the lizard, and introducing it to honeys. What's some advice you charismatic Caravaggio have on ways to wean yourself off of adult entertainment? I'm a porn addict, so I don't watch it anymore.
Wow. What can I say? I think you just have to realize you're stuck in a cycle and that it's not giving you any true enjoyment. You're just doing it because you don't know how else to break out. And so I think that if you consider that you're really not doing it for pleasure, you're just doing it because you have this addiction, that's probably the best on the surface explanation. I don't know what, I can't say that I know about support groups or anything like that, but they exist for
They're
sure.
there, yeah, I go to them. They're solid.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing, is that you just got to realize that you're trying to assuage some pain in your life through that distraction, where it's going to be easier to just deal with reality and to deal with whatever uncomfortable situations you're avoiding by just sitting around watching porn, because it's such a waste of time. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing, is if you really think about how much time you've wasted doing that, that's when it can hit you.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They had to put it like that.
I got a couple great American novels I just fucking lost to my hand. Yeah.
I could there's videos on YouTube, about like the negative effects too, and then also it's inspiring like celebrities who abstained. Yeah. Like Mike Tyson or Jim Carrey, they always say that. That always inspires me to stay away.
Then that's a big range of dudes.
Yeah.
Well, but also, I also feel like I wouldn't just abolish porn per se. Like maybe that,
No, some people can. There
solid
for
could
some
be a
people.
healthy relationship with it.
A good call.
The thing that concerns me more about having young kids and having porn so available to them is that it gives them a false sense of how to treat someone else.
Yes,
and that's important. Like
my man.
Yeah, it should be a mutual experience, and you should be really catering to someone else as well as them catering to you. And so much of the porn is like just for the dude.
Yeah, it's like watching like a getaway driver and be like, oh, that's how I'm gonna drive like a car or something like that.
Yeah. And if you get in a real life situation, girls will be like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, and dude, like a couple.
I'm not your puppet.
Yeah, a couple practical steps too. Or Chad has the password for my phone, so it has parental restrictions on it. So I just don't even have access to it. And then on my computer, I have Net Nanny, and so I can't look at it anywhere. And
yeah, well, I guess those are
strong deterrents.
Versions of
sure. And I forgot the password.
I do worry about I don't want to tell everybody to like get off porn, because I really still respect the porn stars I used to watch, and I want them to be able to make a solid
wow, that's
living.
a really interesting angle on that.
I can't watch it anymore, but I hope you guys.
I
are all
still
doing
want
well.
them to have healthy lives and to be employed.
For
he's,
sure.
He's well aware of their bios and their full
Yeah.
Wow.
everything.
I'm a nerd. What up, Chad? What up, JT? I come to you seeking major advice. I have this longtime best friend who I hang out with and party with almost on the daily. He has a sister who is 1 year younger than him, who always has had interest in me. Obviously, I never entertained the thought because she's my best friend's sister. But over the past year, puberty hit her like a truck, and in an incredibly good way. She's a Betty. And now more than ever, she's been hitting me up and extremely open about wanting to hook up. The whole squad is interested and wants to take a dive, but I am considered the ringleader, so I feel obligated to do so first. A little weird there. The devil is tempting me.
Kind of
but-
took a turn.
Yeah, but here's the major problem. My bro goes absolutely apeshit if anyone so much mutters her name, even if it's a positive thing. I've told her how I can't do that to my best friend, but she's starting to become irresistible and frequent in her attempts to seduce me. I need guidance to safely pursue this matter. Sincerely.
Well, the whole idea that there's a group of you trying to pursue that and you're the leader, that's a weird angle on that. That's more disconcerting than
A lot of ego in that.
yeah, that's more disconcerting than just it's my best friend's sister.
Yeah.
Which by and far is going to complicate things no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you do or you don't, that's going to be complicated. So either don't or have a genuine heart-to-heart conversation with your friend. Like, hey, your sister and I are really interested in each other. And have that uncomfortable conversation.
And make sure if you do want to pursue her, like make sure that's what you really want instead of being like
Not because
the leader of this
because
team.
you're the chosen one.
Yeah.
From your group.
Not like Kobe where it's like, I eat first when he's like playing basketball. Yeah, it's like, these are like people we're talking about.
He talks to his friend. He's like, "Look, I'm the head of the team, so
We vote you.
this is
Yeah,
what's gotta
Look, the guys
happen."
need me to do this.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right,
I got to set the tempo.
I've been voted
Or
in.
I guess the worst thing you do is to do it without the knowledge of your friend because he's definitely going to find out and it's going to blow things up.
I had
Good call.
a
Good
friend who
call.
wanted to hook up with another friend's sister, and I was like, I knew he didn't really care about the girl that much, but I mean, they were both like adults, and I was like, dude, don't do it. And then he was like, I'm gonna do it. And I was like, well, then I'm gonna hook up with your sister. And he was like, I don't care. And I was like, all right, well, as long as you're like not being hypocritical in your pursuit, you know what I mean?
That's
Like-
a litmus test.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna date this person, and it's your friend's sister, you got to be extra careful and really like her if you're gonna pursue it. Like maybe with the intention of dating. With
For
the
sure.
intention of dating.
For sure.
I soft pedal it sometimes. All right. Dear dudes, the girl I'm talking to now is someone that I've been on and off with for years. And even though we're currently talking again, her parental units absolutely hate me. What are some ways I can raise their stoke and help them learn to like me again?
Well, he doesn't give any insight as to
Why?
Yeah.
they don't like him. So I would say be respectful to them. Be productive.
Right.
Yeah.
Have a good life that you can talk about.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
have a life that you are proud of, and so that you're likely to present it as such. I don't know. That's a pretty lofty request to not have any background.
This is from the movie Summer Catch, but mow their lawn. Like if you just volunteer
Yeah,
to
but
mow
see,
their lawn.
that turns into sort of an Eddie Haskell thing. That's
Right.
my era. Where
No,
it's
I get
like
it. Yeah,
you're
Leave It to
just
Beaver.
playing to but maybe you're not really that person you're presenting yourself to be.
Right. But if you do it every day for a summer, like it's going to be hard to discount.
Okay, well,
Ma-
man, that's one approach.
Well, we should find out if he really likes mowing lawns. So then, if he's actually into it,
Are your kids dating?
Yeah.
Are you like
The older ones.
when they bring over a person? Are you tough?
No, I'm not tough. I mean, I'm approachable, and I try to be, I guess, for lack of a better term, liberal to open ideas and
Right.
their ages and what they're really going through, and not be in denial of that kind of stuff like my parents were. I'm just trying to get to know them and to make sure that they have a healthy approach to their relationship, because with my older son, like he's has more complications with women who are adults, and there's a lot of things that go with that, and I've actually had better conversations with him in his later years now than I did before, because
sure.
it's like these are real life challenges. These are things you have to push through if you want to maintain an intimate relationship. And on the surface, that stuff seems super easy when you're young and whatnot. And now, he has a better understanding of why some of my relationships fell apart and why I went through all this journey and whatnot.
Did you find it difficult with like skating and stuff to that sort of life to?
That was part of it, but I think I just wasn't prepared emotionally to have true intimacy in my early years. I wasn't raised like that. My parents were not that warm like that. It wasn't a house of I love you and that's that kind of stuff. So I didn't learn, and my parents didn't. They got along, but it wasn't true loving relationship, and so I just didn't learn that stuff. So I had to learn that later, and in the hardest ways.
Whoa.
I feel that sometimes. Like there's like a disconnect in that from my parents. I think.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to learn to embrace those challenges and not just distract yourself with something new or something else.
Yeah.
And to really be present and work through things, because ultimately it's way more rewarding. I mean, I'm a little old to be figuring that out, but that is what I have found in the last, say, like 6 to 8 years, where I realized that true intimacy is far more rewarding than glitz, than the new thing, the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in intimacy, it's like it requires so much vulnerability and
that too, and
relinquishing
you got to
control.
be prepared to put yourself out there, but also at the same time, you get it back, and that's the best part.
I'm learning about that, how to be more vulnerable and honest, and I found it to be actually really fun. Because before I would have like a wall up, and I was like, oh, vulnerability, like ew, like I'm just gonna be tan or whatever. But now I'm starting to be more honest and stuff, and I do find it to be a lot more fun. And life just is a little bit more
and you're using
enjoyable.
all of yourself.
Yeah, and the conversations are better. I'm not like hiding something. It's more like I can feel more of a connection.
Yeah. I definitely when you let go of hiding stuff, it's so liberating.
Yeah,
and suddenly it just feels like everything is more vibrant.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I had this big secret that I was a virgin until I was 24. And I thought I was going to die never telling anyone that. And then like I went to therapy and I unloaded it to my therapist, and it just felt like the weight of the world fell off my shoulders. I was like, I don't need to like put this burden on myself, and nobody else really cared that much.
Yeah.
I mean, my boys obviously thought I was a little dorky, but it wasn't like damning. They still liked me. Yeah.
Couldn't you use that to your advantage though, where you put it out there and you're like, I haven't, and people are like, all right.
Yeah, right. Then you're the focus of attention.
Let's figure this out.
Everyone's like, let's fix it. Yeah. All right. What up, guys?
Push you into a girl's bathroom.
Yeah. What up, guys? So I need some advice on how to relate with my coworkers. You see, I'm a full-time PhD student and full-time stoker, but everyone I work with is a total nerd. I mean, real big-time, full-on nerds who play Dungeons and Dragons every weekend night. Have never even tried to chug and definitely don't pool. Recently, I had the honor of serving as a groomsman at my boy's wedding in Texas to get the squad fired up. Basically, he meets a girl on a flight. They make out on the flight because he was wearing a funny cowboy hat. And they have some double vodka sodas, and he gets rubbed down. When he gets back to work on Monday, I was fired up to tell the story to all my coworkers. Upon hearing my story, which is objectively a major stoke factor, they were not fired up at all and actually appeared mad. Before I know it, I had 5 angry nerds scolding me for being disrespectful to the other people on my flight. I don't understand how I can continue working in this environment. Please help.
How to continue working?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he means just like how
there's
can
there's a lot of layers to that.
Yeah, how can he coexist with these dudes if he's got such better stories that they can't even like wrap their head around it?
Yeah, I guess, but there's also there are. I mean, who knows if anyone even knew what was going on the plane? I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I'd say for this guy,
I think maybe there is also the argument that they're projecting against him because they wish that was sort of thing was happening to them.
Right.
Maybe not. But maybe he left a detail in that was disrespectful about this girl.
It's an interesting question. Like, is his version of the email?
There's a lot of facets to it.
Right. Is his version of the email cutting out some details from the story that is what made it off-putting to his coworkers?
That could be disrespectful. And in that case, more power to those guys for setting them straight.
He could just revel in the fact that he shares this enjoyment with his squad.
Right.
And so he can kind of be like, all right, sort of like what you're saying, how you found your crew.
That just sounds like such a teenage boy, like fantasy brag thing.
There's a line in the movie Broadcast News where like William Hurt's talking to Albert Brooks and he's like, what do you do when your life exceeds your wildest dreams? And Albert Brooks looks at him and goes, you keep it to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, you had this great experience. The fact that they're not reveling in it with you, I mean, that is a little bit of a bummer, but I think you just got to accept that people live different lives and maybe they just can't wrap their head around it.
And I think he kind of wanted them to just tell him that he's awesome.
Yeah, he was definitely doing it for high fives.
And they didn't do that.
Which isn't a cool thing to do either.
Like, you guys don't think I'm awesome. I'm out of here.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Was the angle is the angle more that I used this girl, or was it more like, no, this was mutual?
Yeah, maybe tell the story in a more romantic, beautiful way. And
Yeah.
then maybe you'll get a better
we're getting
response.
married next week.
Yeah. Challenge yourself to tell the story better next time or to experience it better, and then you might get a better response. Win the nerds over.
A lot of ins and outs, a lot of what have yous.
And then I proposed to her on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Throw in some Dungeons and Dragons details, like, and then we went back to my place and played Dungeons and Dragons. And then like, now I dig it. Yeah.
I dressed like a knight.
All right, just one or two more. How do you get the boys to Venmo you back for drink without sounding like a mega douche? Should you call them out if they keep doing it after you let it slide once?
For a drink?
Yeah, if your boys aren't paying you back after you cop them some drinks.
Huh. I guess you could. Well, I know how Venmo works. I guess maybe you could shame them on Venmo.
Oh, good call. Like,
by emojis,
Yeah.
right?
I like that.
Because it is its own social network of sorts.
Yeah. You could comment on their, if you see some transactions, be like, oh, you sent $10 to Matt? Oh, figures, huh?
Weird, you got all these disposable funds because I'm
Yeah.
getting none of it, dude.
Pizza with Shelly? Must have been nice.
And then also, I think you just stop getting them drinks. You know what I mean? If they want another drink, you're
fool
just
me
like,
once.
yeah, you're like, nah, dude, that fund has been sealed. Like, no help here. All right. Yo, big dogs, want to congratulate you guys on an amazing podcast. I'm 17 years old, big leader in the community, love entrepreneurship and our boy T-Rob, and constantly think about starting businesses. For a while, though, I have had no spark at all for dating. Not gay, though. Okay. All of my dogs have girlfriends.
What does that matter?
Yeah.
In
But
the
I
dating thing.
But I don't feel pressure to date because of them. I think I just need to be patient and find that beautiful angel. But my mind is just constantly on a rager. My question for you guys is simply, what do I do? How do I ignite that fire back into my heart for dating and meet beautiful girls? I'm tricky in that I want to have a girlfriend but have no spark. Thanks so much. You guys are a blessing.
Do we define rager as someone that's going out and raging one night stands, or he just wants to party?
I think he just wants to party.
Just party. Well, I think maybe you've got to realize that your life could be more fulfilling with someone in it that you love, that you can share your life with, and that maybe you could also share in their life and provide things for them.
He's 17 too.
Yeah, well, but I'm surprised that at 17 you lose interest in dating.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, dating can mean all kinds of things. It doesn't mean you're stuck with one person. So, just, I don't know. What can you say? Like, it's amazing out there. It's, having relationships, even if you're gay, like to be sharing your life with someone else, in the most smallest ways can be far more rewarding than just thinking you're okay on your own all the time.
For sure.
Yeah, maybe he has a skewed idea of what dating is like or having a relationship is like. Because I feel like a lot of people might like shame it, be like, oh, then you're like stuck. You're like in like jail or whatever. They don't really see the true benefits of it. So maybe like what you're saying.
Yeah,
is
well,
like,
but that harks back to you just have to embrace the intimacy of it.
Yeah.
And if you're not embracing the intimacy of it, you're distracted and you're just looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
And then that's just the relationship killer.
And it seems like his brain moves fast. You know, he's talking about entrepreneurship and starting different businesses. So he's obviously a little precocious and ahead of himself because he's 17. So I think, dude, just relax. Like you might have that spark more than you think.
That can not benefit you in the end if you're only focused on a career, because that is another thing that will just kill a relationship. Like you're a workaholic and no time for anyone else. And then when you do make time, you don't keep your promises in that sense. And then you go back to just working nonstop, and it's hard. It's hard to keep that balance. That's the biggest challenge in my life is balancing my time so that I am present for my family, but I'm also effective in my job.
Tony, I think that's a good place to close it. That was beautifully
All right,
said.
cool.
Dude, you've been awesome the whole time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
doing
coming
this.
in.
Yeah.
Sure.
This was so
Thanks
awesome.
for coming down to my ramp.
Yeah.
Guys, it's
amazing.
awesome.
Guys, check out the ramp.
If I could
If you're
skate at all, I would do it.
Yeah.
Well,
I was
now's
looking
the
at
time.
that vert. That's like 4 feet of vert, you said?
Should we charge it?
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, well, like I said, my ramp's bigger, so it's a little easier.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was skating and I would go up to the half pipe and just look down. I'd be like, I can't do it.
Right,
I
just
dropped
look
in
over the edge.
Yeah, I dropped in like a couple times. Then I broke my wrist and my career was.
No, that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I should have stuck with it, but water polo came surfing. I don't know.
Yeah, you had other passions that
Yeah.
percolated.
All right, you guys. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you
Tony,
so much.
thank you for doing it. Yeah, appreciate it.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you.
Dude, so we're back.
So stoked.
We're just talking about how stoked we were about.
Yeah.
We're doing the beefs and legends and babes without Tony Hawk, and we're just so stoked on him. He was a beast.
We were both nervous.
That's the most nervous I've ever been doing the
Yeah.
pod. Yeah.
When I was first talking to him, when we first met him, I started talking about the his half pipe, and I'm like, yeah, that vert. And in my head, I'm like, why are you talking to Tony Hawk about how scary vert is?
Right.
You fucking
And for me, it wasn't even his legend as like a skater and stuff. It was
Yeah.
like he's very as a person on top of it.
very smart.
Yeah, he has a lot of command, and
Yeah.
he's a smart guy, super smart guy.
Really cool dude. So so many accomplishments and just and it's cool how I love his like core message of like he just followed what he loved, and it wasn't for like the fame really. It was like he was just doing what he loved to do and just cultivating that creativity and stuff and just that progression
And it feels like he's still progressing.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, Tony, thank you so much for doing the pod, dude.
Yeah.
It was a
you're a legend.
real dream come true for us, and thanks to Al Madrigal for setting it up.
Thank you, Al.
Yeah. All right, Chad. Who is your beef of the week?
My beef of the week is Slim Jim because I love Slim Jim. So it's an actual beef of the week.
Oh.
Yeah. That's a play on. I'm playing with the words a little bit.
Didn't
my
Joe
dog.
do that last week too?
He did.
Okay, right on.
Yeah. Damn it. I just remembered that. Maybe that's why it was in my dome. But I love Slim Jim. It's always there to keep me in ketosis in times of need. Oftentimes I'll be out and about running around doing whatever, just like looking for different shampoos or different types of t-shirts I can wear. And I'll be like, oh, fuck, I forgot to eat. I need to eat. And what comes through in the clutch every time? Slim Jim. Thank you, Slim Jim. I know people say you're gross, but I don't think you are. I think you taste delicious, and I ignore all that stuff that's actually in you because you keep me in ketosis. So thank you.
Beautiful beef.
What's your beef?
My beef of the week is Kobe and Shaq.
Oh.
I mean, this is one of the greatest beefs in sports history, and it's because they were teammates. You know what I mean? And it's these two alpha dogs jostling for control of a team, and they both had claim to it because Shaq was the most dominant player in the NBA, but Kobe was a harder worker, and it was probably the toughest shot maker in the league. And it worked for a while. They won 3 titles. You know what I mean? I mean, there's only a couple other teams that have done it. And they were always fighting over, like, Kobe being more of a passer, and like I said, Shaq working out more. And they just couldn't figure it out. Shaq goes to the Heat, wins a title without Kobe, and the NBA salivates over this and sets them up as the Christmas Day game. Christmas is always the biggest game, and they have it Lakers versus Heat. And I remember watching that and just being like, ooh, of course Kobe scores the most points, but the Heat win. And then a couple years later, because Kobe's in the wilderness for a while with Smush Parker and a bad team, sorry Smush, he ends up getting to the finals but loses to the Celtics. Then Shaq in the offseason does a song at a club. He gets up on the stage, grabs a mic and goes, Kobe couldn't win one without me, eat my ass. And also blames Kobe for his marriage. And then it's like, just eat my ass, eat my ass, eat my ass. But then Kobe comes back, wins 2 titles, and they now seem like they're friends. So I think they just needed distance from working together for them to really appreciate how they both brought up each other's level. And they just did such goofy stuff. Like Kobe one time was on TV and they were asking him how him and Shaq's relationship was. And he was like, it's fine. And they were like, well, did you ever call him to like apologize about this stuff? He goes, no, I don't have his number. And everyone's like, you can't get Shaq's number, dude? Just weird moves by both of them, but it was fun growing up in SoCal and watching them win titles. And it's a big time sports beef.
Dude, have we covered on the pod Chudwin's story about Shaq?
I don't think we have.
His mom, so our buddy Chudwin, his mom, it was at the end of a game. His mom was approaching Shaq to get an autograph for his basketball. for her son's basketball. And she's like, excuse me, Mr. O'Neill, would you be able to sign my son's basketball? And he's like, shut your ass, woman.
Whoa. Strider has good experiences with him when he valets his car.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. He told Strider he's a good-looking dude.
Dude, how do you have that be like the first thing you say?
Right.
Shut your ass, woman. Shut your ass.
Yeah, I obviously had my personal issues with Shaq where he kind of like disrespected me and some other fans trying to get his autograph. But then I've also heard good things about him. Like on the set of Shazam, I heard he worked his ass off. Or Kazam.
Yeah, I feel like he's known generally to be a good dude.
Yeah.
I think he lost that night. That's why he's pissed.
Yeah. He when he launched the big podcast, his podcast, he had Kobe on as his first guest, and he introduced Kobe as the greatest Laker ever.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's cool that they could come so far.
Good use of shut your ass too.
Yeah, he loves ass because he told Kobe to eat his ass too. It's a big ass. 7'1", 400-pound booty. Booty ball, bro. Chad, who is your babe of the week?
My babe of the week is the school level in Tony Hawk 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fitting.
Yeah. No, I'm my legends and babes are kind of like in the theme of Tony Hawk because we're in his
Hawk's lair.
Dude, it's gotta be one of my favorite levels in Tony Hawk 2. I love the video game so much. Tony Hawk 2, I think, is my favorite. You know, I'd say Underground was legit, like super legit, and I loved it. But I mean, Tony Hawk 2 really, that's what got me into the games. That's what really captured my interest, especially the school level. And I don't know, it's not like the most extreme level, you know. It's not like they have like huge ramps and stuff. It's more like how it's so, you're like, oh, I'm at a school and I'm just shredding it up. And there's just something about it that I loved. It was just like, it was so simple. Yeah, you could do so much with it. I'd have to play it again to give you guys more detail because I haven't played it in probably like 12 years or something. But I just want to give a shout out to that level. It's legit. And the video games in general.
Beautiful.
They're babes.
They are so hot.
Dude, I would do tricks for like 10 minutes, like one combo, because you do the manuals, you know? I do like kickflip, manual, dark slide, feeble grind, Smith grind, you know, for like 10 minutes and be like,
dude,
oh,
I'd play for
200.
hours. Just switch off with a buddy and just keep going.
Yeah, it's amazing. Who's your babe?
My babe of the week is close to what you've been talking about, burger meat, dude. You know,
Yes.
Chad's got me accepting who I am to myself, and I am keto. Although I had a banana yesterday. But
Way to admit it, dude.
One of the staples of my keto diet is burger meat. I order burger patties all the time, oftentimes with cheese, and I love them. It's a great dish, and nobody really fucks up a burger patty. You can get it almost anywhere, and you're in good shape, even at the airport. I mean, obviously, my favorite is the Flying Dutchman from In-N-Out, but I love burger patties from far and wide, and I'm just glad you're in my life, you sexy motherfuckers.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Chad, who is your legend of the week?
My legend of the week is the X Games. Dudes, when I was a kid growing up, my favorite time of the year, and yeah, I'm talking over Christmas, was watching the X Games. Is someone skating right now?
Yeah, I think Tony's kids are.
Wow.
Or his boys. His bros are skating. It's pretty wild, guys.
Man. I want to go skate.
We're literally watching the X Games.
Yeah. Yeah, my legend is out the window.
Yeah, it's happening behind us.
It's my favorite time. It was my favorite time of year growing up to watch. Like those like, it was like a week or two. The best sponsors: Taco Bell, Mountain Dew, other sponsors. So many cool events. It was summertime. People were getting extreme. People were getting, Bob Burnquist, Tony Hawk, freaking, who are some of the dirtbaggers? Travis Pastrana. Who's that? Brian Deegan.
Corey Hart.
Dude,
Carey Hart.
I just loved watching
Corey
all
Hart.
of it. I loved taking it all in. I love the style. I love the feel. I love the fact that it was just hot. It was in the middle of summer and people were getting extreme, and it got me extreme.
Everyone there was cool.
Everyone was cool, and it made me just want to get outside and freaking rip it up.
And dude, when it would come down to the finals, like I was always the most into Vert, bike, like Vert BMX.
Oh,
and it'd
yeah.
always be Dave Mirra, rest in peace, and Jay Miron.
Yeah.
And then it would always come down to the final run,
Yeah.
and you were like, it was just sitting there with bated breath, like, holy shit, like who's gonna pull this gold off?
Well, what'd you think of motocross? Do you think it was like too inaccessible?
Racing or the jumps?
The jumps.
No, I like the jumps. Yeah.
They're cool to watch, but like, was it kind of like you were like, it's too sort of fantastical? Like, there's no way I could ever do anything like that.
I could see that, but I felt closer to them because I actually dirt biked a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had more of like a, I mean, it was all a stretch of the imagination for me, but with dirt biking, I was like, all right, yeah, I hit jumps before, but with skating, I can't even like, I can't drop in.
Yeah,
so
I guess that's a good point. Yeah.
Did you dirt bike?
I've dirt biked 5 times.
Right.
My parents were not down.
It's dangerous as fuck, dude. Everyone I know got hurt doing it.
My first time I went, my buddy Sean took me, and he had me like sit behind him on the dirt bike, and he was just hauling ass, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I always think the most wild people are the people who are amped when the other person is driving.
Yeah.
Like if someone else is driving like a maniac, and you're like, "Yeah, go, go, go!"
Yeah.
Like that's pure, like, psycho junkie.
And it makes you think about the amount of trust you have to put into someone to ride on the back of a motorcycle.
The person driving's dumb. The person behind them is
dumber.
loyal to the dumb person. Yeah.
Yeah, it's loyalty to dumb.
Dude, I had a friend, Joe Black. He's my dad's age, but he would race in the Baja 500, and they blast on a dirt bike for like a whole day. He's doing 90 miles an hour through the dunes. Boom! Hits a horse. Sorry, guys. I know that's sad, but he smacked a horse. So me and my brother come visit him at his house. Full body cast, just drilled up to his neck with a medical wrap.
What did he break?
He like punctured his lung. They had to like airlift him out of there. He cracked like 3 of his ribs.
Did the horse explode?
So I go, "How's the horse?" He goes, "Fuck the horse. It's dead." Sorry, guys. I know it's a tragedy. I love horses so much. It's my favorite animal. But it was funny when Joe said that.
That is funny.
He never cursed either. Like he would get mad at me when I was a kid if I said like shoot.
It's funny to think of him in that body. Fuck the horse, dude.
He's like, "Fuck that horse. It's dead." Joe's a action sports maniac, so I'm thinking about him a lot. When we interviewed Tony Hawk, I'm still jacked on it, guys.
Pelozone?
No. Joe Black, who actually has the same name as
Joe Black,
Brad Pitt in the movie Meet Joe Black. Chad, who is your... you just
your
hit
legend.
It. Yeah. Okay, my legend of the week is Mr. Sands. Mr. Sands was my 7th grade English teacher, and at the time, I thought he was the coolest guy who ever lived, and now in retrospect, I realize what a weirdo he was. Like, he would do bizarre things, like get high in his car, but also be high in class, I think, and just, like, derail the subject for the day, and then just be like, "Guys, I've seen an alien before." And then we'd all be like, "Really?" And then he goes, "Yeah, I was driving down the highway, and down the other highway came 2 bright lights that were 12 feet above the air." And he'd start drawing it on the board, and I'd be like, "This is the best fucking English class of my life." But he also had a temper, so once in a while he would cuss. He broke a ruler in front of Samar's face. She was a little annoying, but a teacher shouldn't do that. And he was just totally irresponsible, but in a way that was very relatable. Like, he lost the grade book, so he's like, "I'm just going to give all of you Bs." And I was like, "Fuck yeah," because I had Fs. But the A students were like, "That's bullshit." And me and all the other F students were like, "Shut up. Shut up." So we got the Bs. In hindsight, obviously they were right. Mr. Sands totally irresponsible. And then at lunch, he didn't want to hang out with the other teachers, so he would just let the kids come into his class, and he let us set up an Xbox, and we would just chill in his class at lunch and play. But he ended up getting fired because he threw a chair at one of our teachers, Mrs. O'Connor. Yeah, bummer.
That'll do it.
So yeah, Mr. Sands, when I describe you, I sound like I'm describing someone that doesn't belong around children, but I have to tell the truth. At the time when you were my teacher, you were my favorite, and when you told the class that you were leaving after throwing the chair at Mrs. O'Connor, we all cried, and I meant those tears because you were the man. Thanks, Mr. Sands. Chad's checking out the skating. It's hard not to watch because there's just a bunch of people ripping.
I feel like we're the nerds and they're the cool kids.
Yeah, for sure. No, they don't give a fuck about podcasts. These guys don't listen to podcasts.
They listen to Vert.
Yeah. They like hang out with each other and like build experiences. But I love podcasts.
Oh, this kid's good.
Yeah, he's ripping.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Rock
dude.
and roll, dude.
Comes into the quarter pipe.
Oh,
Monster
dude.
180.
Solid.
Dropping in. Here comes Teddy DeBossy. Oh, he's got good pace. He's coming up the wall. Oh, with the coping.
Classic nose stall.
We are in skateboard nirvana right now, my friends. I wish you were here. If you could borrow my eyes, I would be a happy man, for you would be seeing some of the most epic skating that has ever been done. Boosh! with the casual grace of a leopard. Oh, and the hardcore strength of a mule. Chad, what is your quote of the week?
My quote is it's from Lords of Dogtown.
Dude,
He's got the inner ear problem. Suck my inner ear, J-boy. Epic comeback, dude. Fire comeback. He really got him. He's like, he's got the inner ear problem. He's like, how about you suck my inner ear? Which I don't even know how you do that.
no, I don't either, but that's what I think makes it such a spectacular burn is that, like, you're basically saying my butt.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more clever. All right, my quote is from A Knight's Tale. I was shocked to find out A Knight's Tale didn't make back its budget on its box office grosses. But it's a cult classic. I mean, everyone remembers it. And I always really liked James Purefoy, who played the king in the movie, or the prince rather, Prince Edward. And we don't realize this until about a quarter of the way through. And then he says this when Heath Ledger is stuck in the stocks because they find out he's not a knight. He goes, "What a pair we make, huh? Both trying to hide who we are, both unable to do so. Your men love you, and if I knew nothing else about you, that would be enough. But you also tilt when you should withdraw, and that is knightly too." Because earlier in the movie, Heath Ledger found out that he was Prince Edward, but he still went against him in the joust when everybody else dropped out. And he was like, no, if this prince is in this tournament, it's because he wants people to respect him as a jouster. I'm not going to give him carte blanche just because of his title. Let's go. And like he said, you tilt when you should withdraw, and that is knightly too. So what up, A Knight's Tale? And rest in peace, Heath Ledger.
R.I.P., dude.
My dog. Boom clap, Stokers, and thank you to Mr. Tony Hawk.
Dude, thank you, Tony Hawk, for coming in. Stokers, thank you for listening. Make sure you come in with those fire reviews. Should I lay down a review of the week right now?
Hit it, baby.
Because we love those reviews, baby. They help us in more ways than you guys know.
I'm always checking the number to see how many reviews we get, and I'm comparing it against other podcasts. They say compare and despair, but sometimes if you're in front of someone, it actually feels kind of good.
So this is subject line, aw, dude, aw, by Trash. I just want to say this is the best pod out there right now, my dogs. My stoke tank has never been full this consistently. Every time I hear Chad and JT, they just fill my life up with positivity. Thank you, dude. Me and my bros have never been so stoked, and it's all thanks to Chad, JT, Strider, Joe, and Aaron. Stoked that you included Aaron.
Aaron, beast, dude.
Thanks for reminding me every week after week to get after it and never let a schmoll bring you down. You dudes are my legends of the week. Thank you, dude, and thank you for the review. And Stokers, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, dudes. And we miss Aaron, but also big thanks to Jay Farnie for the filming today on the Tony Hawk podcast. We could not do it without him. The setup we have here looks like a Michael Bay movie. We got like 5 cameras going and no issues. So that's my dog helping out.
We're about to pull off a massive stunt, and you can see where I'm pointing. Guys, you have never seen Jay Farnie, but imagine at the other end of my finger is Jay.
There's a sign in here that says Big Tuna, Texas.
That's Jay.
Awesome. Jay, you're my Big Tuna, Texas. Jay's from Texas.
Population, huge.
Huge.
All right, guys, that's it for episode 78, 9?
Yeah, or 80. Yeah.
One of them.
We've been doing more lately, so
Yeah.
we're losing it.
One of those episodes.
We're getting up there, fellas. And ladies.
Thank you, dudes.
Gracias, legends. Boom clap, Stokers.
What's up, Stokers of Stoke Nation? This is Chad Kroger coming in with the Going Deep with Chad and JT podcast. Before we begin, we are brought to you by Scentbird. Scentbird, thank you so much for supporting Going Deep. Scentbird is a luxury fragrance subscription service for colognes and perfumes, and a great way for you to discover new scents without buying an entire bottle. For 50% off your first month, go to scentbird.com/deep and use our code DEEP. We're also brought to you by Manscaped, the leading man in keeping your groinal area. Yeah, trimming your pubes. Yeah.
They sent me a care package.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
So you Manscaped?
They're interesting titles.
Yeah.
Did you get the lawnmower 2.0?
Yes, I did actually. Yeah. I don't use all the tinctures necessarily, but
Right.
the other stuff's useful to me. Yeah, for sure.
Dude, right on.
I don't go that deep with this, but that way.
By the
Yeah.
way,
That's
Stokers,
nice one.
that's Tony Hawk saying that he approves of Manscaped. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Sure, thank you.
Stoked
Thanks
to
for
have
having me.
you. Also, congrats on the 20-year anniversary of the 900. That was yesterday, I believe.
Oh, June 27th, yeah.
June 27th.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my first memories is watching the 900.
Oh,
And
weird.
X Games. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow, thank
Did
you.
everyone at the games know you were going to go for it that year? Like,
I didn't know I was going to do it, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was very spontaneous.
Yeah.
I mean, I had been trying it off and on over the years and gotten really close. Actually, like landed one, broke my rib as I was coming down, and so by that time in my life, I'd kind of given up on it because I'd gone through so much injury and struggle with it. And then when that night came around, it was the best trick event, so I had something in mind for the best trick because I had done it before. This other trick.
Is it 720, right?
720 varial.
Yeah,
varial
that's right.
720. And so that was my only plan. And I made it early into the event. And so then it was like, what's next?
Right.
And I think the announcer said something too, like, why don't you try 900? And I was just like, oh, not that thing again. You know, it was really more like, all right, well, here's what it looks like. That was my mindset. It was like, I'll try it and I'll show you how they work. But
then it was like a dog on a bone. You're like,
I think what happened was at that time, especially in skating, there weren't that many good ramps, and that ramp was especially fast, and it helped a lot for doing a trick like that because it gave me more height, and also that it wasn't the ramp was true in the sense that like each wall was the same, so you could take it for granted. You didn't have to adjust it all, and between those two things, that gave me the advantage to actually be consistent with my spin and with the technique. And then at some point I was like, wow, I'm getting a lot closer. And,
right.
If I try to land it again, I might break my rib, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now.
Wasn't the the slight tweak you made like a shift in midair, like a weight shift? Is that what you found to land it? Or
yeah, it was mostly because the times that I had tried to make it. In fact, the one time that I really got close was in like 1995 or 96. I put it on the wall and I was riding down, and I was just leaning too far forward, so I like crumpled into the flat bottom. And I did that too during the X Games, but I didn't get so hurt. And so in that moment, I thought, well, what if I shift my weight while I'm spinning? And like it gave me that. Luckily, it gave me that time to think about that.
Yeah.
And then when I did shift my weight, I ended up falling backwards, and so I just kind of split the difference.
Oh,
and that's when I found it worked.
How long would you have kept going that night?
I either until I was in an ambulance or on the podium.
Right, two options.
Yeah, that was about it. I wasn't gonna give up because I was tired. There was no
Yeah. Or on TV, you're like, oh, they're still on me.
I didn't really. That wasn't a concern because the time was up for the event. So in my head, I was just doing it to make it finally. I mean, I really thought we were off air because it was a live event.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was a 20-minute session, and so I had gone. The time had expired, and that was fun. Like that wasn't the goal anyway. But they ended up running it live over time just because they saw that happening.
Yeah, it was great TV. It was amazing. Yeah, because I remember watching it too.
Yeah. How long did they extend the time?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It was probably 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
When you pull something like that off, how do you celebrate?
It's weird when, especially in skating, through the years, there's so many tricks that I really wanted to do, and most of the time haven't been able to do them. And you have been expecting it for so long that it's just more of a relief. It's not like this, oh my God, I did it. It's like, finally, you just kind of throw it behind you. It's a weird, it's validation and you feel good about it, but there isn't this great celebratory thing.
Right.
I mean, there it was because the context of the event and the crowd
All the other people
and
there.
my peers and stuff like that. But I've done plenty of other tricks here on this ramp where I was trying it for, I don't know, maybe months or a year, and then I did it and it was just like, just check that one off, like I'm over it.
Right.
Do you have sort of the mindset of whenever you sort of you complete the 900 or whatever, are you immediately kind of like, all right, what's the next trick? Or are you able to sort of bask in it and celebrate?
Yeah, after that, not long after that, I started trying variations of it.
Mm-hmm.
I started trying different grabs. I tried to varial it.
Yeah.
I couldn't. But definitely that was always that was always my mindset. I mean, at my age now, that's not really like nowadays. It's sort of like I want to try something that maybe is a little more technical. It's not high impact. It's not a lot of spinning, and I want to do that. And I don't think of like that's the stepping stone to something else. It's more like I'm just happy to be learning a trick at my age.
Yeah.
Just like mastery, but it's not like a spectacle as much.
Yeah, it's more for like for the hardcore skaters to appreciate.
Right.
You know, the nuances or the difficulty factor.
For sure.
So what kind of tricks are you pulling off now, or the new ones that you're learning?
It's more sort of lip trick grind stuff.
Okay.
So I have a couple things in mind that I've been wanting to do recently that just require this sort of, the best explanation I have is like a coping dance where I'm just trying to like shift from one grind to another while still sliding across and doing it like blind side, so it's backwards, and I don't know, it's hard to explain. I mean, so if you wanted the details, the trick I want to learn is alley-oop, frontside lip slide to kick it into a backside Smith.
Gotcha.
That's what I want to do.
For sure.
Yeah. I think I can picture that.
Yeah.
And it's like to the layman, to the non-skater, it's gonna be like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just shifting around with the coping, but the difficulty factor is high.
Right.
Sort of like riding switch, like
A little bit,
Really
yeah.
really
A little, and it's
understand.
also just more that you can't see where you're going, you can't see what you're doing. It's all in the feeling of it.
Yeah. That's cool.
So that's kind of where I'm at with my skating.
Sweet.
So you grew up around here?
I grew up in San Diego, yeah.
San Diego right now. Are we? No, we're not in Encinitas, are we right now?
We are in Vista currently.
Okay.
This is my office. This is where my ramp is.
It's badass.
Yeah.
A huge ramp, guys, for those of you who
Yeah, I
don't
actually
know.
bought this. I bought this building before it was built and had them change the height of the ceiling before they built it so that we could put the ramp in here.
Oh, cool.
And I actually bought it for the ramp because this ramp was always on tour, and that was the only time we ever got to ride it was when we were on the road. And then when we were home, it was just in storage, and I said, why do we have the best ramp in the world? I don't get to ride it unless we're on the road.
Right.
So I got this building, and then all the businesses here kind of fell into place.
Have you ever touched like the bars when you hit up?
My friend touched that pipe. See the lower pipe that goes
Yeah.
across?
You did? Wow.
It's about
he-
20 feet above the.
Yeah, he hit it with his
Vert.
nose.
What?
Yeah.
On purpose or on accident?
On purpose, he was aiming for it.
Nice. How do you come down from that?
Quickly.
Did you land?
He made it, yeah.
Oh,
nice.
beautiful. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So this was on the Boom Boom Hot Jam tour?
This is that ramp. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Our buddy Strider went to that. I wasn't allowed to go. I was in trouble at the time.
Oh,
Yeah,
what city?
Scholastically. I think Anaheim.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Devo played Anaheim.
Yeah. But the band?
Yeah.
Nice. Whip It Good?
Yep.
Dude, they're great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're one of my favorites.
Yeah, well, your music, we wanted to ask you about Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Did you help curate the music for that? Because it had such great soundtrack.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted it to represent skateboarding culture and skateboarding soundtrack, and so as we got down the line, especially after the first two games, then the you could put more storage on the discs because they went from CD to DVD and whatever was next after that, and so we were able to put a lot more songs on it, and so the soundtrack was much more rich, and I just kept throwing out suggestions from my past and from the stuff I listened to at skate parks and stuff. So that's what I wanted to represent. The newer bands that they had in it, especially like the first two, for instance, Goldfinger, Millencolin,
I remember
Power Man
Goldfinger.
5000. That was all more on the music side of Activision to get.
Right.
My contribution was more like the Black Flag, Dead Kennedys, Primus, Buzzcocks, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
For sure.
Guerrilla Radio always comes to mind whenever I think of the name.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Rage.
Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has their.
Their
I mean, the
song.
people who are into the game, they always have that one. Like that's the song.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
Or it's the Goldfinger, Pretend I'm Superman.
Yeah, that's the one I remember the most.
Yeah.
Because I'm no Superman.
Yeah, that's it.
Wait, so did you? And I want to talk to you about like getting your name on the game because I heard that was like it almost didn't happen, but because it did, like the amount of I guess it's kind of gauche to talk about, but the amount of money you made like was way more because of that.
Yeah, it wasn't. There wasn't a discussion that my name wouldn't be on it. It was more that there were a few different companies trying to do skate games at that time, and one actually approached me about being involved.
Right.
And that game did come out. It was Thrasher's Skate or Die. but I was in early talks with them, and then Activision called me because they heard that I had been talking to this other company, and they said, "Hey, we are also working on a skate game. Why don't you come check it out?" And so I went to Activision, and when I saw their demo of what they were doing, even though it was based on a different game, it was actually the character that I was first played was Bruce Willis with a gun on his back, because the engine was made from a game they had already done called Apocalypse that featured him. So the first incarnation of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was Bruce Willis skating through a desert with a gun on his back.
Well, that's awesome. That's a cool game too.
Well, I mean, that's just because they were,
they hybrided it.
Using the characters just to get the
Right.
going. But when I saw that, I thought, this is it. This is the direction, because the controls were intuitive, and I knew that with my resources and my connections that we could make something that really spoke to skaters.
Yeah.
How directly involved were you in the design of the levels?
Mostly, I was more involved with the design of the levels that included real skate spots.
Yeah.
So my input would be like, we gotta do San Francisco.
Yeah.
We gotta do China Banks. We
Right.
gotta do the wharf. You know what I mean? Like that would be but then some levels are just made up. Like school is made up, and that's their deal. So that's kind of how.
I always thought that was based off Hollywood High. Or is that not true? I think my buddy just told me that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there was one of the schools had the Leap of Faith,
Yeah.
and that was based on an actual school skate spot here in San Diego.
Okay.
But the rest of it wasn't designed around the exact same school.
Okay. Gotcha.
Do you play video games?
I used to, for sure. I these days my biggest the most I play is with my daughter playing like Super Smash Brothers or Mario Kart.
Right. So more just to like bond with your kids.
Yeah, because the other kids, they're playing Fortnite and they're playing NFL, and that's
Too
just
sophisticated.
It's not even that. It's just more like the time suck.
Right.
I wish I had that much time to play, but I'm usually off and running.
Yeah, I don't have one either because I think I would just use it too much.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Like, if I was their age, that's exactly what I'd be doing for
Right.
sure. I'm just not at an age where I can.
For sure.
I mean, and it's amazing. Like, the technology is insane now.
Yeah.
Crazy. Do you have a desire to build another game? Create another game?
Always, sure. If the right opportunity comes along.
Yeah.
I would really love to remaster our old games too, but that's going to require a lot of negotiations
Right.
because I haven't worked with Activision in a while. So
Cool. Wait, so
Can you check this? That's going right.
It's not. This is card full.
good eye, dude.
How do you compare it?
I don't know. We'll be alright.
If you need advice